While Dodd's announcement was not surprising, Byron Dorgans' decision to retire from the Senate stunned many in Washington. The New York Times reported he'd been frustrated by the actions of the Democratic Party over the past year for not working hard enough on economic recovery. Dorgan's been a leading opponent of media consolidation and U.S. trade policy. He titled his 2006 book, "Take This Job and Ship It: How Corporate Greed and Brain-Dead Politics Are Selling Out America." There's been some speculation that Dorgan will take a job promoting the coal industry. In his official statement announcing his retirement, Dorgan wrote, quote, "I would like to do some teaching and would also like to work on energy policy in the private sector." I wanted to ask you, Ryan Grim, for one quick comment on the significance of Byron Dorgan leaving.
Right. With all my pessimism about Dodd leaving and what that means legislatively, it also means that Democrats are going to maintain that Senate seat in Connecticut. As far as Dorgan is concerned, that means that they're going to lose a guy who, it's probably too much to call him the conscience of the Senate, but he was quite a liberal senator and from a right-wing state, and he's going to be replaced most likely with a Republican. So that is an electoral problem that is going to face the Democrats in 2010 is his departure.
Ryan Grim, we want to thank you for being with us, senior correspondent for the Huffington Post. As we turn now to another guest in Washington, particularly on Byron Dorgan. Juan?
We're joined by Jeff Chester, Executive Director of the Center for Digital Democracy. Jeff, talk about Byron Dorgan's role as an opponent of media consolidation and a supporter of net neutrality.
Well, Senator Dorgan's departure is going to be missed. He has really been consistently over the last dozen years the leading Senate critic of media consolidation, promoting policies for the FCC that would rein in the media giants and try to restore some accountability that the public should have over the cable and broadcasting and online giants. He has been a voice of conscience. He has been an effective legislator. He led the effort to overturn in the Senate the rules that Bush FCC Chairman Michael Powell pushed through that would have deregulated almost everything in the U.S. electronic media system. So we are going to need someone to fill his very large and important shoes, especially at this critical moment with the U.S. media system.
Well, Jeff, specifically with the Obama administration, the issue of net neutrality is increasingly a big topic at the FCC. What's your sense how the administration has begun dealing with the issue of net neutrality?
Well, look, this is a very critical moment for the future of U.S. and, of course, global digital communications. I mean, the reason you're seeing Comcast buying NBC, this fight between Time Warner and Fox, the battle over network neutrality, is that our media system is in this fundamental transition, how we consume media and how we distribute media. And the big media giants want to have as much control over the new system as they've been able to do over the old system of broadcasting and cable. I think the FCC under the Obama administration is on a course to enshrine rules around network neutrality, but whether or not they will truly be effective, given these new mergers that are emerging and other powerful interests shaping the future of media, remains to be seen. I think the Comcast NBC potential merger is a real test case for the Obama administration. Juan, I hope you don't mind me moving to that beyond network neutrality, because that we're going to see whether or not the Obama administration is willing to take a proactive media democracy stand on the future of media, because if you allow that merger to occur, Comcast taking over one of the largest broadcasting and cable networks, and if you don't have some limits on their power, then even rules on network neutrality won't be able to dent the very powerful control that a very tiny handful of big companies are able to leverage throughout broadcast, cable, and potentially online.
One, actually, let's talk Jeff, just one sec. I just wanted to really clarify what it is you're talking about. One, if you could talk more about the significance.
Well, on Wednesday, the Justice Department did confirm it will lead an antitrust review of Comcast deal to acquire a controlling interest in NBC Universal. Comcast is already the nation's largest cable TV company and the largest broadband and internet service provider. And if the deal is approved, Comcast would take control of not only the NBC network, the Spanish-language Telemundo network, cable channels, including MSNBC, dozens of local television stations, and the Universal Film Studio. Critics are saying the government regulators should reject the merger. And a recent report by the media group Free Press said, quote, a vertically integrated Comcast NBC would not only control marquee television and movie content, it would also control the primary avenues for distributing that content, a major television broadcast network, a major cable system operator, and a major broadband internet access provider.
Meanwhile, in another closely watched story about the media, a major dispute between the nation's second largest cable company, Time Warner Cable, and Rupert Murdoch's News Corp has finally been resolved. The dispute centered on how much the cable company should pay for the right to deliver the Fox network. Jeff, continue to talk about these issues.
Well, that's my point, and why I didn't respond directly to Juan's network neutrality question, and why I do think that the future of U.S. media has to be at the top of a progressive agenda, because the big companies are moving to control as much as they can of new media. They want to make sure that their very lucrative business model, which is basically a monopoly model, getting money from us each month for cable or satellite service, even though there are some benefits to the satellite service, these big giants are able to get, monopoly subscription fees. They want to extend that pay-as-you-view model to the online world. I think it's important to recognize that in the not-too-distant future, and Google's new phone released this week is a good example, we'll be watching our video and creating our video not just through television, and not through our PCs, but also, and particularly important, mobile devices. So the whole distribution landscape is changing. Young people are very comfortable watching and creating video through their mobile devices. Comcast, Time Warner, the big cable operators and the big content companies are very worried that the current free model for online access is a real threat to their monopoly profits. They want to rein in the internet, so to speak, and transfer their current business model to the online world. And that's why people should read that excellent report and regulatory complaint released this week by Free Press with other groups, including Consumer Federation of America, supporting them, because it exposes the Comcast and the cable and broadcast industry's plan to begin charging, in essence, when accessing content that now more or less is free online.
And so Jeff, isn't that alliance, Jeff, isn't that alliance sort of like symbolized by this new announcement of Comcast, what they're calling TV Everywhere, where apparently now there's that is TV. The grand alliance between the cable companies, the digital broadcasters, to control TV content on the internet?
Absolutely. Professor Robert McChesney, the co-founder of Free Press, likes to talk about the scene in the Godfather movie where the mafia chiefs are in Miami and in Cuba, and they're pre-revolutionary Cuba, and they're carving up the cake, they're carving up the pie. You take this territory, you take this territory. That's why the Free Press complaint is right on when it talks about collusion and other kinds of illegal activity. Yeah, the big cable and entertainment media companies are trying to carve up the online pie. It's called TV Everywhere, and extend their control. So you have the worst of several possible worlds. You have a handful of companies controlling television, in essence, broadcast and cable television, and they'll be able to extend that to online and get hefty fees from us for cable service, for broadband service, plus all kinds of new forms of advertising. And that's why I think it's a test case for the Obama administration. But I also think it's a test case for progressives, because while we need to support the work of Free Press and Consumer Federation of America and Media Access Project and other groups trying to keep this system open, I think we have to ask ourselves, where does progressive media end up 10 years from now? Even if the system is open or slightly open, and there's no guarantees that it will be, will we have a robust and vibrant, interactive, progressive media sector that can help drive this country towards the social justice goals that we know it requires? And unless progressives begin spending more time creating content locally and nationally and figuring out how it can survive, I am very worried that we're going to see a kind of closing of the door